come on.
Before we start, you're gonna have a number of questions while watching this video, and 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question is either going to be technically or money. So I'm just gonna reuse this clip every time that comes up. So let's get into it. But again, remember, it's always technically or money. Hello. I'm wearing a lab coat that I stole from my sister who's a nurse, which explains why it's one size too small. The reason I'm pretending to look scientifically qualified is because a few weeks ago, I set out to make a simple video about the history of reducing, reusing, and recycling. But the more reports I read, videos I watched, and red yarn I purchased, the more I realized this is a deeply complicated issue. But surely the title is clickbait. I mean, recycling obviously exists, right? Technically? But the reason it's such a mess is due to the very material that popularized recycling in the first place.
Plastic.
Plastic is so interesting for all the wrong reasons. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that plastic waste is a problem, but the way we got here and the reason you view it the way you do is the direct result of decades of misleading claims, unrealistic promises, and propaganda from big plastic. That's a real thing. I'm telling you right now, this one's gonna be a bummer.
I already like the editing on this shit. This is 10 out of 10 editing.
I've never liked chemistry because
I love when niggas pull me out they video.
it's the one science you can't see, and because I have the reasoning ability of a 12-year-old boy, if I can't see a thing, I tend to believe it's not real. We all know that plastic is made from oil, yet none of us know how. Prior to writing this, I couldn't even imagine how that works. As far as I can understand, when you extract oil from the ground and you refine it, the product that you're looking for is called methane. It's the primary gas that your stoves use. We burn it for like energy and stuff. It's really valuable. But one thing you get when trying to get methane is its less popular brother, ethane. And this is a byproduct of the process. Ethane is gonna be there whether you like it or not. And for a while, that's just the way that ethane was seen. It's just one of the things that you get when you're digging up oil. But in the late 1800s, it was discovered that you could use it to make this weird substance. It was this white, waxy material discovered by German chemist Hans von Pechmann. His colleagues named it polymethylene, also known as polyethylene, also known as plastic. Now, this discovery was an accident, and at the time, there wasn't really much you could do with it commercially. But in 1933, British company Imperial Chemical Industries, great name, accidentally discovered a way to synthesize this industrially. And the result was a material unlike the world had ever seen. Polyethylene was everything you wanted it to be. It was strong, it was lightweight, it was flexible, it was heat resistant, and most importantly, it was cheap. It might not seem impressive today, but at the time, plastic was viewed like the material of the gods. It could be clear like glass, but it didn't break when you dropped it. It was lighter than metal, less flammable than wood, sturdier than paper. You could color it, make it look like any material you wanted. It was easier to clean, it was easier to transport. It was cheap, it was durable, and thanks to injection molding, it was easy to mass produce on a large scale. This material could be used for everything. And due to metal shortage in World War II, the manufacturing of plastic became really big in the 40s. And since it was already in high production, when the war ended, there was an explosion of new plastic products to choose from.
Plastics take their rightful place in a world at peace. The future will bring plastic fabrics, wondrously fine, yet resistant to wear, wrinkles, and stains.
Saran wrap, squeeze bottles, Tupperware, shoes, dolls, garbage bag, plates, bras. People loved plastic, but manufacturers loved it even more. Why?
Damn, bro, I'm realizing like this world might be plastic for real, bro. I'm looking around. What in here is really plastic? You know what I'm saying? This plastic. This table y'all sitting on, this plastic. That tripod, probably some plastic. This controller, plastic. You feel what I'm saying? This mic all metal though, I ain't gonna lie. It's sturdy. But this mouse, plastic. Keyboard, plastic. You know what I'm saying? Screen, plastic. Or not screen itself, but nigga, the whole monitor, plastic. Other monitor, plastic. You know what I'm saying? This shit crazy. Speaker, plastic. Like, this shit really strong for real, bro. Like, damn, bro. I'm just feeling materials, nigga. This PC plastic. This Focus plastic. I know this. That's metal, I think. But yeah, this shit crazy.
Money. Remember, plastic comes from ethane, and ethane is really cheap. In fact, there's too much of it. Because if you're a fossil fuel company, you want methane. But if you're getting methane, you're also getting ethane. But it's not just that you don't want ethane. Nowadays, you literally have to find a way to get rid of it. You can't really mix it with the methane. You can't just release it out into the atmosphere. There's only so much of it you can legally burn. And if you don't find a way to get rid of this stuff, it becomes a big problem for production.
A lot of governments, including the US government, control how much you can flare. So it might be that you are producing so much ethane that you cannot flare it and you cannot send it down the pipeline. And if you can't sell it, you have to shut down the well. They hate shutting down the well. If there's still methane down there, if there's still oil down there, that's money in the ground. So it doesn't matter if you're making money on the ethane, you just need someone to take it away from you.
And plastic just makes sense. So from the 50s onwards, pretty much anything you could dream of was being made of the wonder material. The possibilities were endless, and the best part is that it would last forever, because plastics basically last forever. That will come up again later. I'm not here to say that all plastic is bad.
Because how can it get recycled, reduced, reused, and recycled if it lasts forever? That's the real question. And when they're reducing it, what does that really mean? Who's reducing the plastic? I know reuse it. You know what I'm saying? Reduce, maybe like crush it up. And then reuse is to restructure. And then recycle is when we get it back. That's what I'm assuming. So we're going to find out. I got to figure out how to pick up one of my eyebrows, because I can't just be doing this face
At all times. I'm coming to appreciate that plastic does have a place in society. For example, before the invention of single-use plastic-filled diapers, children used to wear cloth diapers that were meant to be washed and reused. That's okay. We don't have to go back to that one. The problem is how much plastic is made. So what were we gonna do with all this trash? I would love to answer that question, but I do have to do a commercial for a brand real quick. Why would he just interrupt the video like that? Money. Wow, look at this totally normal meal for a college student. I can't wait to eat this and go about my day. That was me about 8 months ago. I noticed that anytime I ate a salty meal, I would get these crazy chest pains and my heart would start beating really fast. And I was totally panicked because I didn't know why it was happening. I thought I was dying. I can feel my heart pounding in my ears. And I kept putting off seeing somebody about it because I was scared to go to the doctor. But it got to a point where it was almost every meal, so I knew I couldn't deny it anymore. I had to go see a doctor as soon as possible, and that's why I used ZocDoc. Today's video sponsor. If you want easy ways to find healthcare providers in your area, ZocDoc is your answer. They have more than 150,000 providers within more than 200 specialties across all 50 states.
Ain't this, hey, why am I just watching I'm tripping, bro. I'm just watching ads now. This is where we get to that shit of like, Chris be lost sometimes. Yes, I'm lost in the video. But this shit don't even remind you of Good RX or something? Or My Doctor Now, one of them shits? Half of America eats on paper plates. Me, nigga, I'm one of them. I'm sorry. Reduce the amount of single-use plastics, reuse existing ones instead. Okay, so I was right. So like they gonna reduce the plastic that we have and reuse it, then recycle it. So we recycle. We the recycle.
Appointments happen fast because again, I was thinking always come 5 minute radiologist, and I thought I did hurry up and click the link in this. You know, sponsoring this.
You either spend hours modeling them in Blender. I generated them using Trippo. You can
that
generate
nigga moving
a 3D
like
model simply by describing it with text.
That nigga moving like me today. I had this crazy cramp in my neck right here. Ooh, I still got it. I need like a neck massage or something. Like I need some. I don't know. You know, people be saying like you sleep bad on your head, or you slept bad. You slept the wrong way. Like nah, gang. Don't even tell me that shit. Like that shit already. I'm already fucking mad because my neck got that little crack to it. You know what I'm saying? Like get someone to put you in a headlock. You think that actually help, bro? Or you just saying that? Or is this a real spill? Like, cause I got that little here, and I've been trying to do all this shit. Ugh. But that shit just. It feel like somebody was trying to hurt me, nigga. Like, why did they do this? So yeah, that's kind of cooked.
It's bad for the environment at almost every stage of its lifetime. From the fossil fuel extraction needed to make the plastic, to the greenhouse gas emissions that come from when you actually produce the plastic, to the disposal of plastic, a decent portion of which is just burned afterwards, which also contributes to greenhouse gas emissions. And probably the most annoying part of plastics, especially in the 60s and 70s, is that people...
Bro, I feel like you lying to me, I feel like you trying to get me fucked up on stream or something. You trying to have me, nigga, passing out. They gotta squeeze hard. Nigga, you trying to have me dead, nigga? You just told a nigga to put me in the chokehold because you think this gonna help me. Bro, stop it.
People would just throw them anywhere. It was in parks, roads, farmlands, lakes, rivers. Plastic also ends up in our oceans, which is bad because as we all know, fish are dumb. And we'll confuse small pieces of plastic floating around as prey and then they'll eat it. And then we'll eat it when we eat the fish. Did you know that the average American eats about a credit card's worth of plastic every year? That's why I don't order seafood. It eats through my wallet. I'm doing great today. But the planet is a big place. I don't get why we can't just find somewhere to put it.
We have this one.
Nah, bro.
We only have so many.
Headlock and chokehold damn near, they in the same conversation. They like cousins, gang. Like, either way you can pass out. Oh, wait, no. Headlock like this. Chokehold. What's the difference, bro? Chokehold will kill you. Ain't this a chokehold, though? Or is this a headlock? So I'm confused now. Now you got me fucked up. One chokes you, the other one does it. So this one right here, this is a chokehold, and this is a headlock. Let me know if I'm tripping. Maybe I gotta just do it myself. It's just, I can't even do it, bro. My arm don't. No, I was wrong. Okay.
Many places that we could put our waste.
I could think of 3 different.
Also, so I had this theory when I was a kid, and my teacher shot it down. This is 5th grade. I always remember this. She was saying, how do we get rid of plastic? And I said, we build a rocket ship and we send it into the atmosphere in that one area where it doesn't burn. Then it gets close to the sun. Then it burns into the sun. And then that's how we get rid of all our plastic. So tell me, y'all let me know if that's a good idea, or if I'd just be ruining our atmosphere and shit. Because I feel like if it goes straight into the sun, like, wouldn't we be good? I think we really just need to put all this shit on a spaceship and send it out to space. Like, we got to figure out where to have it land, but we just don't need the plastic and the trash is on the earth. You have an idea? No, I know it. Like, this would take years, and it would be like a program that needs to be started. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be. It's not gonna be something that's gonna happen over time, very quickly. But it's a solution, because at some point rockets aren't gonna be that as expensive to build once we get better technology. Just like cars. Actually, I can't even say cars get cheaper. They got more expensive. I'm tripping. I don't know, bro. Like, we gotta figure it out though. We can't keep letting this go on of just having plastic. Like, we breathing in plastics and shit in our air. Like, that's wrong. Imagine how this world would be if we never invented plastic. Like, y'all think the environment would be up? You think more people would be alive? Like, the population would be bigger? Put your ideas down in chat. No, nigga, that's like saying taking a spoon out of the ocean per day is enough to start draining it. Yeah, bro, over time. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of diligence, and you know, at some point you move from a spoon to a soup spoon. You know what I'm saying? And then from the soup spoon to from a soup spoon to a bucket, and then from a bucket to the earth will die from heat death when the sun dies out. Man, it's cool, bro. I ain't gonna lie. We not gonna be alive for that shit anyways.
Place we can put our trash right now.
You can't put it in the ocean. Look what happened.
Sure, obviously.
You can't put it on top of a mountain.
We can't?
They've even tried to put it into a volcano.
I didn't even think of that. We can't?
We have to come up with a better plan.
So we had way too much plastic trash. What could we do to fix the problem? Well, we could have cut down on plastic production, which would have solved the problem at the source. No, we're never gonna do that. How about we come up with a slogan instead? If you grew up in America after the 80s, you probably grew up learning about the 3 R's. Especially in the 90s and the 2000s, messaging about the benefits of reducing, reusing, and recycling was everywhere.
It's worth it.
It is worth it.
It was on posters, commercials, children's television. They made jingles about it. They talked about it in science class. Did you know that Schoolhouse Rock forced Mitchell Musso to make a De La Soul parody song about it? Obviously, I can't
reduce, reuse, recycle. I remember that.
Disney will have my head on a pike, but I will play a snippet shortly. However, before I do, I would like to read the lyrics to the first verse because it's written like a conspiracy theorist that's trying to make a connection that simply isn't there. 3. It's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. Because 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 6 is 18. And the 18th letter in the alphabet is R. We got 3 R's we're gonna talk about today. Go listen to this song immediately after this video. I assure you, it sounds worse when you sing it.
Gotta learn to reduce, reuse, recycle. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27.
This song...
I'm telling you, I remember that. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I was like, damn, nigga, we gotta reduce, reuse, recycle.
Had to have been written in 45 seconds. Recycling ads made it seem like you were fighting for world peace every time you threw a bottle away. I'm being responsible. I'm basically a hero. We treat recycling as if everyone who does it is single-handedly preventing a plastic straw from ending up in a sea turtle's nose. You did it, man! We won! But that slogan is written the way...
Chat, uno momento, real quick. Uno momento. I'm gonna just turn this off and mute myself. I gotta answer this. All right, chat, I'm back. My bad, guys. Had to handle some shit for work real quick. We're back to it though. Let's go.
it is for a reason. It's written in order of importance. If you want to help the environment, by far the single best thing you can do is reduce the amount of trash you make. If you don't want the planet to be filled with waste, don't make the waste in the first place. Beyond that, the next best thing you can do is to reuse the waste that you create. And I'm not talking about that 5-minute crash reuse. I turn these bottle caps into jewelry. I'm not doing that. I'm a grown man. I don't just own a glue gun. It's kind of crazy
No,
how
facts,
underrated.
though. I always hated them 5-minute crafts. They trying to sell me on some shit of how I should redo this or something. Fuck, I look like.
Reusing things is. We'll talk about this more later, but Americans have been taught to believe that reusing things is for poor people. Historically, though, every culture and every people have always reused everything they can.
So, in thinking about ancient Greek sculptors, their favorite material to use was bronze. And the reason that we only have a few of these left, they got melted down to make implements of war. Egyptian kings would wait for previous monuments to maybe fall into a little bit of disrepair, and they would knock them down, and they would use those pieces to build their own monuments. Sometimes the Romans would take their sculptures and they would recarve them into the sculptures of later emperors.
If you grew up in a melanated household, then you know that just because a container that used to hold food is now empty, it does not mean its life is over. I'll be the first to admit this. I used to be embarrassed when we'd have people over and I'd have to explain to them that we used the empty Greek yogurt containers from Costco as cups. Well, I wasn't embarrassed at first. It wasn't until somebody who wasn't in my family came to my home, saw what was happening, and explained to me that their family doesn't do this, that it immediately clicked, yeah, of course nobody else does this. This looks weird. But looking back, objectively, it shouldn't be viewed as weird because we used that container 50 times longer than it was intended to be used. We saved them from going into a landfill prematurely. That is, of course, until I put it in the microwave and it became immediately unusable because, of course, it was. It was a Greek yogurt plastic container. It can't handle that heat. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, you end up with plastic that you just don't know what else to do with. Then, and only then, is when the last R comes in. Recycling. The idea that some company or organization could take your trash and turn it into anything your heart desires. It's the most magical of the 3 R's. Magical in the sense that it's not real. That isn't to say recycling doesn't work for anything. There are actually a number of materials that recycle rather well. Aluminum, for example, is considered infinitely recyclable, meaning you can recycle it over and over and over again and it won't break down in quality. In fact, of all aluminum that has ever been produced, 75% of it is still in circulation today. Now, you compare that to plastic that actually breaks down every time you recycle it. And of all the plastic that's ever been produced, 70% of it has been discarded. In fact, generous estimates say that only 10% of all plastic has ever been recycled once, and only 1% ever gets recycled twice. I think the main thing that makes recycling super difficult is that it doesn't arrive at the facility in perfect condition, organized by color and material. It comes in one gray blob, and there is almost surely animal and or human feces in the mix. And even the stuff that isn't fecal matter, a good portion of those materials shouldn't be in that pile. Recycling rules get so confusing because, first of all, you need to know what type of plastic it is because not all plastics can even be recycled. Second, did you know you have to clean the plastic before you put it in the bin? Some packaging materials, even if it has the recycling symbol on the front, some recycling plants can't accept it. And I would love to sit here and tell you all the ins and outs of what can and can't be recycled. I really wanted to make it work. I come up with a bit where I was gonna get a scroll and be like, hear ye, hear ye. I can't do that because recycling rules change everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a new set of instructions. The ones in my area are different from the ones in your area and the next guy's area and the next guy after that. And despite all that effort, most plastics just end up in a landfill or being burned in an incinerator. So how did we come up with such an ineffective system? Well, to understand that, you're gonna have to... So you're pretending you're this businessman from the 50s and you work in the plastic industry and your entire job is just to make money. You know, one of the reasons life sucks now is because you can't own anything anymore because everything is a subscription. Sure, I could make some money selling you something once. I could make more money if I sold it to you once a month for the rest of your life. But how am I gonna get you to buy more plastic? I just spent all this money advertising how durable it is and how it basically lasts forever. People know you don't need any more plastic. What am I supposed to... What if I just told you the opposite? Imagine you're in a room with the most boring old white men that you can think of, and then the main old white guy is in the center, and he's like, okay guys, if we want to make money, we have to convince the public to throw away the plastic. And everybody was like, what's this guy talking about? And the main guy is still up front, he's all like, you guys, listen, glass and metal are expensive and heavy and breakable, but plastic is made of oil, so obviously it costs basically nothing. And then one guy raises his hand and he's like, wait, I thought oil was basically like black gold and every country on earth is fighting for it literally all the time. And the main guy's like, shut up, it's not important. Nobody knows how both those things are true. This is just the way the world works. It's light, it's cheap, and we have more than enough to sell. If we can just convince them to throw away the plastic stuff they already have, I promise you we will all make so much money. And remember, that's your job. That scenario wasn't real.
Damn, bruh. So these niggas hoaxed us into reduce, reuse, recycle, throw it in the recycling bin. Oh. This shit not even helping the community. I always wonder what's going on with these bottles that I'm recycling. Is they really being 100% recycled and given to me in a Coke bottle? Who's telling the truth here? It's all a lie, bro. All my life been a lie, bro. Shit crazy,
an
man.
exaggeration. At a 1956 annual conference for the plastics industry, Lloyd Stouffer, an editor of a trade magazine, literally told plastic executives their future is in the trash can. But there was a problem. This was the 50s. These people lived through the Great Depression, where they used dresser drawers as baby cribs, and they made the most insane recipes with any food they could find. You know that one guy on TikTok from 3 years ago who used to make all those recipes from the 30s? That was depression food, not the feeling, the time period. Although you may confuse it to be the same thing, because they couldn't afford fruit, so when they made apple pies, it wasn't with apples, it was with crackers and water. This era of Americans was not used to the idea that you buy something, use it one time, and immediately get another one. That would be like if I invited you over for dinner and we were eating off glass plates, and at the end of the night you asked me if I want you to put your plate in the sink, and I just told you, nah, just throw it away. What are you talking about? And again, you were just telling the public how plastic is basically indestructible. So why would they just want to get rid of it? So the plastic industry had to make new ads that were basically like,
okay, forget everything we just said about plastic, okay? It's not that great. It's cheap, and we have an endless supply of it. So after you use it, just throw it out, okay? If you eat off of it, if you drink out of it, if you look at it too hard, just throw it out. It's fine.
but isn't that kind of wasteful?
Come on, man. All the cool kids are doing it.
For decades, Americans had a make it do or do without mentality. Our new throwaway culture fell in love with single-use plastics and didn't worry about the consequences.
Being disposable, there are no empties to collect. Vinyl and asbestos on the floor.
In fresh sun, sea, and sky colors.
So people started throwing stuff away. Everywhere. It was too much stuff. Littering was now becoming a bigger problem following the rise of single-use plastics, which combined with other environmental concerns led to one of the biggest environmental movements in modern history.
This is a CBS News special. Earth Day.
A day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival.
April 22nd, 1970 was the world's first Earth Day. A time for people in some of the most confusing pieces of attire and hairstyles that the human race had ever seen up to that point in their history gathered together to discuss issues hurting the environment. And of the many issues, one of the issues on the docket was plastic waste. In fact, you start to hear talk that maybe plastic should be banned altogether. But again, you're a businessman in the plastics industry. If your product gets banned, you can't make any more money. That's your one job. You're blowing this! But you, as a businessman, maybe you take a second to realize maybe enough's enough. Your decisions have negatively impacted the planet. You've made more money than you could ever hope to spend in your lifetime. Maybe it's time that the plastics industry goes to rest.
Nah, it's time to amp it up. That's how them niggas think. It's time to make some more bread. And that be the problem. These let they greed destroy the earth.
Retire. Maybe spend more time with your wife and the kids. Maybe this is a good thing after all. Maybe it's time to call it quits and let the packaging industry go back to its more sustainable practices. I'm kidding, it's time to plot. And what do we do every time we need the public to change their opinion immediately for our own benefit? Advertising.
I don't know what the fuck just happened, chat.
We need the public to change their opinion immediately for our own benefit. Advertising.
Hello? Alright, we good. My bad, I just had to reset it. I was saying this shit kind of racist as fuck, right? And I don't think this was like, I don't care what time it was. This is not okay, bro. This is not good advertisement at all. Like, you got just a Native American nigga being mad that y'all throwing plastic on. Why can't it be a white person or a black man? Yes, we should be mad about littering on the earth.
First off, this man is Italian. Secondly, although this ad may look like it was paid for by some environmental
see what I'm saying?
activist group, it was actually produced by Keep America Beautiful, an organization started by the packaging industry like Coca-Cola and Dixie Cups. You know, the people who made the trash. The point of this ad wasn't to stop litter. It was to make it abundantly clear that this littering thing, that's your fault. But aren't you guys the ones that got an entire generation of Americans to start acting like this in the first place? Don't change the subject. You made that Italian man in an almost surely offensive garb cry. Look at what you did. That's a great first step. But if you really want the people to get off your back about a problem, you have to promise them a solution. Give them something to believe in. And so essentially what happened was the equivalent of, I'm sorry guys, this is getting out of hand. The city's gonna have to ban the plastic. No, wait. Okay, we'll fix it. Jeez!
A growing backlash was threatening the future of plastic.
So it was up to us in the plastics industry to solve this problem so that they could continue to package their products in plastic.
To appease government officials, the industry funded a local recycling pilot project.
The industry attitude was, we'll set this up and get it going, but if the public wants it, they are going to have to pay for it.
So they invested millions into bringing recycling into the mainstream. But could that even work, technically? The process of turning used plastic into new plastic is physically possible. The issue is when you have to do it with millions of pounds of plastic. Could this system work at scale? Technically? No, the answer to that one's just no. According to NPR and a paper from the Center for Climate Integrity, internal plastic industry documents from the late 60s and early 70s gave a sterling recommendation to the recycling process. Using faith-strengthening words such as costly, we have serious doubt that it can ever be made viable on an economic basis, and virtually hopeless. The plastics industry knew from the very beginning this was never gonna work, and they did it anyway. Why? Money. Here's the thing, it doesn't actually need to work. It just needs to look like it works. If it'll get the hippies to shut up, sure, we can paint some trash cans blue and put some arrows on it and maybe blow a few mill, building some recycling centers, and we'll run a few ads about it. Is it gonna cost us? Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot cheaper than having our entire industry banned or coming up with a solution that would actually work. If someone can prove me wrong, I would welcome you to do so in the comment section. But as far as I can tell, the entire idea of recycling is basically just theater, and you can see it everywhere. For example, a lot of people think that all plastics are recyclable, but they're not. Some types of plastics, no matter what you do, can never be recycled, but you wouldn't know just by looking at it. That wasn't until, out of the kindness of their hearts, a lobbying and trade group known as the Society of the Plastics Industry, a loving organization with a not at all nefarious sounding name, proposed a solution to identify which plastics can and can't be recycled. Okay, we've heard there's been a little bit of confusion as to what you can put in the bins.
Bro, it's just like the greed is like I feel like there's just not enough being done. Like, where are the laws in place to stop this type of shit, bro? Like and it's sad to say, because I'd be sick to let my plastic water bottles go, but this shit probably horrible for the environment. But I love a plastic water bottle. I don't like drinking out of nobody's water things or drinking out the tap, cause who do I look like? That shit don't even taste like water. You feel me? And niggas that try and say water don't got no taste, you're a liar, bro. Water tastes a specific type of way. You could taste clean water, you could taste dirty water, and you could taste water that's good. Feel me?
So today we're proposing...
Nah, dead ass. Greed is everywhere, though.
...proposing a new symbol that we're going to put on all the plastic products so everybody knows exactly what can and can't be recycled. Okay, that actually sounds pretty good. No, that's not cool. No! Is there a problem, sir? That looks exactly like the recycling symbol. How dare you? My work is completely original. It's in a triangle shape. I didn't know anybody could own a shape. It has the chasing arrows. My arrows are slimmer. Yeah, but if you squint and look at them both, they pretty much look exactly... Yeah, but mine has numbers in it. You notice that, Einstein? You're so good at pointing things out. You notice that? You know they look the same. Why would you make them look exactly the same? Money. This is the resin identification code. It was invented by Society of the Plastics Industry in 1988. On paper, its purpose is to identify what kind of plastic a thing is made out of. Each type getting a different number. As far as I know, there are 7 RIC numbers, and pretty much only 1 and 2 are widely considered recyclable. But if you didn't know that, because why would you just casually know that? Wouldn't you just assume that this means that the thing is recyclable, and you put it in the bin, and you think recycling is working? The plastics industry lobbied 40 states to get the RIC symbol to look like this. As long as you think it's working, it doesn't matter if it actually is. That's the whole name of the game. But why though? What specifically about recycling is so impossible to get right? Fun fact, when you look up Society of the Plastics Industry on YouTube, one of the first search results is a promo they just released called Recycling is Real. Is it though?
I've been saying this my whole life. Helen Keller is not a real person. How the fuck she fly that plane?
Cause there's no way she flew a plane. Do you see
Nigga? Bro, this is like real shit, bro. Let's be real honest, bro. How does somebody blind and deaf fly a plane? It doesn't make sense.
My point, like, you hear what I'm saying? Helen can't do either, and you mean to tell me she was navigating the skies? Random question, would you say you have a decent idea of how a toilet works? I feel like most people would say yes. Like, it's a toilet, you know, you push a thing, water comes out, seems pretty simple. Okay, cool, here are all the parts. Build a toilet. I saw somebody say this as a good example of showing that people don't really know how most things work. Even things that seem relatively simple. You put all the pieces in front of them, the average person doesn't understand how a lot of things work. With that being said, do you feel you have a good idea of how recycling works? I'll be honest, thought you just melted it and then shaped it again, but the process has like 17,000
That's what I
steps.
thought,
Because you
too.
can't just put all the plastics into one big vat and melt it down. They all have different properties and different melting temperatures. If you did that, you would just end up with a bunch of useless goop. So first you have to create recycling centers and a recycling program for a given area. Then you need to inform the people about what can and cannot go into the recycling bin, which is pretty much a useless step because no matter what you do, people are going to put anything they want in the bin.
Very surprised what people think is recyclable.
You name it, eventually it'll be found in it.
A pool table.
Big propane tanks.
Needles.
A neck brace.
We've had guns, ammunition, fireworks, sparklers.
I had a live snake.
After you pick it up, you have to do your best to separate the non-recyclables from the rest of the mix, and you have to clean them and treat them and process them. All of that just to get recycled plastic, a material that is less durable and more expensive than virgin plastic. From an economic and practical standpoint, this process makes almost no sense. You can sit there and say, it shouldn't matter, we should do this for the good of the planet. Unless you're gonna do it, or you're gonna fork up the cash to get somebody else to, it's not getting done. As Vidyamani said when speaking about just the separation process, unless someone's paying for it, the plastic's going to the landfill. So you may be wondering, surely there was a point in time when recycling kind of worked at least a little bit? Technically, yes. Seeing the monstrous problem before them, the best and brightest American minds of that generation came up with a solution that, at least from an economic standpoint, was viable. Describing it with the gravitas it deserves, it was the equivalent of... There we go, yep. Shh, it's okay, they're okay, it's okay. We just gave all our trash to China. I'm sorry, how does this work? It's simple, we'll pick up the recyclables, put them on trucks, bring them to recycling centers, they'll organize them, crush them, turn them into bricks, we'll put those bricks onto different trucks, drive them to the coast, sell them to the Chinese, and then load them onto cargo ships. And once the ships reach China, they'll take the bricks, give them to low-wage workers to organize them and turn them into new stuff. And when it's all said and done, for every dollar we spend on this process, we will earn $1.01, which is more money than when we started. Okay. And that's how recycling worked in America for over 25 years. But it wasn't just the US. According to NPR, 70% of the world's plastic waste was being sent to China. And China was getting a slight profit out of this, but that profit was being outweighed by all the other indirect costs that came with this recycling program. Because we never actually solved the problem of littering and handling the trash properly. We just gave the problem to a different country.
These sorting facilities in China would often illegally dump the portion of the plastics that even they couldn't profitably recover, creating an environmental problem that the government had to pay to clean up.
Martin Borque, I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, executive director of the Ecology Center in Berkeley, California, once put a tracker in a bale of waste sent to China just to see what would happen to it. And when it touched mainland and they got in contact with the locals that were near where the tracker was placed, they found that it was just littered. On top of that, remember how people will recycle anything, including hazardous materials? Well, it turns out that those materials were causing hazard to the Chinese workers who were sorting them. After a while, the Chinese government must have reasoned to itself, maybe destroying our country's lakes and giving people occasional anthrax poisoning isn't worth $17 of profit. So they banned the import of pretty much all plastic waste in 2018 with no warning. To which the waste management industry calmly responded, what am I supposed to do with all this? Once China stopped taking it, we didn't have many options on where to put it. Imagine you were taking your trash out for the week and the garbage man just said, no, and then drove away. You then have two options, create a pile in the backyard or set it on fire. And that's exactly what we've done for the past 8 years. I really tried to verify this stat, and I could be wrong, but as far as I know, when you recycle something, most of the time, it just ends up in a landfill or in an incinerator. Because there's just no money to do anything else with it. And I would love to sit here and say there is a solution and that they're working on something that's gonna work.
Nigga, I'm like, I don't even know what the solution is myself. You know, I always thought of myself as a free thinker. But burning it is where my head would go too. Because, oh shit, no, we can't do that. And the only thing I could think of is burning somewhere else. But where else could we burn it? The earth is all we got. I don't know, gang. I don't know. I think they just need to ban plastic on some shit.
In the next few years. But as far as I know, right now, at this current moment, this is all recycling is. Almost every solution I read about when researching this video is either going to hurt the environment more or it's going to cost way too much money. Even when something says it's made of recycled plastics, I'm pretty sure in most cases it just ends up looking something like this. So you promise that when I put a plastic bottle in the bin, you turn it into another plastic bottle just like new? Absolutely. In fact, I have one right here. That is not the same thing. I'm doing the best I I can! Downcycling is when a recycled product isn't as good quality as when it was first made. For example, a food-grade plastic that gets recycled is no longer good enough quality for food packaging, and so it becomes part of like a plastic bench or something. Okay, but I saw a TikTok of a mad scientist fellow who was turning plastic into fuel. Why can't they just do that? Technically, as far as I know, that process is called pyrolysis, and it is possible. Because like plastic is made from oil, so couldn't you do some science stuff to maybe turn it back into oil? I don't get it, but it is scientifically possible. So why don't they do it? According to the TikTok comment section of that video, it's because the CEO of Exxon will personally 360 no-scope this guy if he ever goes to market. That's not why. Then why not? Money. Again, could you build a toilet? At scale, the process of pyrolysis costs way too much economically and environmentally. As far as doing it for plastics at least, it just doesn't make much sense. Besides that, the process of this and other forms of advanced recycling generates a lot of hazardous waste. According to the NRDC, they once observed that an advanced recycling plant, also known as a chemical recycling plant, created almost 500,000 pounds of hazardous waste in 2019 alone. In addition, these plants produce air pollution, which poses a health risk to nearby neighborhoods. Neighborhoods that tend to be made of low-income, non-white people. As a result, these neighborhoods lose even more of their value, and due to the health risks that come with being so close to one of these facilities, it turns these areas into what ProPublica described as sacrifice zones. And on top of that, a lot of these advanced recycling plants just end up burning the plastic. However, none of that will stop the plastics industry from saying they're doing it. Because again, it barely matters that it's not working. As long as people think it could, they're not gonna get mad at us.
Innovation in American plastics means reducing, reusing, and
manufacturing.
So you recycle.
Well, yeah, we manufacture recycled plastic. It's how we stay competitive.
And it's better for the environment.
And it's better for business.
How?
It's the way of the future. The U.S. has to keep up.
First off, this ad was made by America's plastic makers, and on their website, they will tell you that they are part of the plastics division of the American Chemistry Council and their member companies, which include Chevron, Dow, Exxon, and Shell. The companies that make the oil that make the plastic. Secondly, he never answered a question. Am I the only one that peeped that?
And it's better for the environment.
And it's better for business.
How?
It's
Bro,
the
why
way
you
of the
talking about
future.
Cabo Verde,
I've seen
bro?
this ad a billion.
Cabo Verde. Where is this coming from, gang? I'm a little confused.
Times. And I've noticed that detail every single time. Like, that was a question she was asking, and he just ignored it and talked about the business of it. Am I insane? That's what just happened.
Now you're getting.
Recycling yesterday's plastic because it was.
I'm confused on why we were just able to let that slide though. That nigga did literally just say like, nah, we ain't recycling that shit.
Made to be more.
That shit going into the abyss. We just gonna make more money.
It's not though. It's made to be one thing, one time for 30 seconds, and then spend the next 1,000 years polluting a river in Taiwan. And I think all these ads and messaging and borderline propaganda just serves to confuse people on what's actually happening with their trash, i.e., the propaganda is working. Laura Leebrook, a manager of a recycling plant in Oregon, explained that when she tries to tell people that recycling doesn't work, they don't want to believe her. Because the truth is, we need recycling. Not because it fixes any problem, it's because it removes this guilt. It's kind of like when you get those ads for children's cancer hospitals and you can't skip it because you have to wait 5 seconds, so before you can, you try not to make eye contact with the sick child in the video. It's kind of like that. We don't want to be confronted with the fact that American consumption is disgusting. We need something to believe in. It's a reason to feel that we're not destroying the planet with our insatiable greed. It doesn't have to actually work. I just need to believe that I'm doing something so I can sleep at night. If I just put the bottle in the blue bin, I don't have to be confronted with the fact that that bottle is going to sit somewhere for the next 700 years. If I don't have to look at it, it's almost as if it doesn't exist anymore. Don't take that from me.
Recycling, it's one of those things where not only does the
Zay, just let me know, bro. Give me the word.
Depend on that emotionally to relinquish their guilt about buying things, but it has been kept alive by the manufacturers.
Ultimately, though, anytime we spend placing the blame solely on the individual is when the propaganda has fully accomplished its work. Yes, American consumption is killing us. But who sold the poison? Corporations are the ones that invested in plastic. Corporations are the ones that convinced Americans to buy more plastic than they could ever need. Corporations are the ones that blamed consumers for a littering problem that they created. Corporations are the ones that pushed and promoted a solution they knew would never work. And corporations are the ones that paint themselves as the heroes and innovators solving a crisis that they created while ultimately not coming up with any scalable solutions. All the while creating more plastic. Lisa Ramsden of Greenpeace USA says the plastics industry intends to triple plastic production by 2050.
What? Nah, bro. I need to become president or something and ban this shit. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna have to ban plastic. A lot of people gonna be mad at me for it, but I need to save us. But damn, I don't know. What am I gonna do? No monitors? No TVs? Bro, chill on me, bro. Don't call me no Lorax, nigga. I'm trying to save the world, gang. Okay? One plastic at a time.
The takeaway from this discussion isn't that we shouldn't be doing what we can. We should all still be reducing, reusing, and then when all else fails, recycling, because a bad solution is better than no solution. The takeaway is this: no matter what any company, ad campaign, children's media...
Tree hugging ad, bro. What's up, bro? What's up? Bro, I'm not watching... Bro, it better... Like, gang, you talking about highlights, nigga. I know what type of highlights you trying to see. You just trying to see some ass. You trying to see some ass and some fine women, okay? Bro, you get rid of plastic, life stops. Nigga, maybe life need to stop, bro. Maybe we need to digress, bro.
In my thoughts, I've been fighting demons, ain't no invitation. When I lose my shit, it's not cool, bad situation. Why am I wearing all these faces? In my truth, I'm a bad man, can't keep up with the evasion. Gotta stand on business and stay solo. Still praying for the days where the niggas ask for photos. In my head, am I the problem? Bad thoughts, yeah, I caught them. Bloody fists, yeah, I fought them. Road to riches, I'm on the bottom. So do I take my time and just fight my temptation? Or do I let go all my problems? Can I say salutation?